This is Margaret Ann Windsor. My father's Edward the Eighth, and he never married Wallace Warfield Simpson. He was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor from Madison, Wisconsin, sister to artist George O'Keefe. I'm trying to get, okay, I don't have all the equipment and stuff that, and I'm making a mess of it, I suppose. This is just one of the doubles that pretend to be my father. My father never married Wallace Warfield Simpson, the American spy. Of course, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? It was an assassination of a king. By the way, they did try to shoot him, what appears to be a program shooter, back when he first became king, I believe. I'm correct there. And I'm jumping around, and I was going to try to do a good job on this one. Anyway, it's a little hard to laugh at any of it. They've done such a bang-up job. Anyway, this American spy married double. My father was always married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, and they were alive and still married to each other in '86, October the 20th, when I came to Roanoke. And I know that for a fact, yes. And I can't answer all the questions that are asked. Why they did. Of course, you can answer them yourself if you stop and think about it. What happened to my father? They stole his identity and just wiped my mom off the map, basically. And then look at me, what I've been putting up in the horror stories to my sons, Mark and Scott, before the heirs after me. I was born in 1939. I don't know that you can see the date. And an attorney gave this, made sure I got this magazine. This was George, the illegal George VI, the brother, and this is the Roosevelts. This is, quote, the First Lady. This is Roosevelt's mom. Don't say mom. This is mom, the American. This is, Rockefeller, Elizabeth's mother, and leave it at that. And this is Roosevelt, President Roosevelt, who helped in my kidnapping and orchestrating it. Now, I didn't know when I started doing a book on mind control that it was anything biblical. It turns out I'm writing about mind control, which is chipping people, and murders being, mind control is being used. And then the timeline of my father being taken down in 36, and you get the Church of England, Cosmos Lang, Archbishop. You get Winston Churchill partnering with Eisenhower, General Eisenhower. You got members of my own family. Obviously, George VI, my uncle, my father's brother, helped take him down and kidnap his own niece. And I am the legal monarch, whether they like it or not. And they may get away with it. So far, they seem to have done that. Anyway, the partnering of all, some of my family involved in it, in the, let me get to, Winston Churchill, and he was buddies with, he had an apartment furnished at the White House, and he was buddies with Eisenhower and then Truman, who became president. And then, who was after Truman? Anyway, can't think right at the moment. Okay, I just can't think right at the moment. Truman and who? Nixon? Didn't come after him. Anyway, that's the people that tried to kill me. Well, I think they all did. They kidnapped me and brought me to the U.S. and Moulton, Alabama, and gave me the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, married Childers. So anyway, I was writing about mind control. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, near me in Marietta. It's Marietta, suburb of Atlanta. So this was in 78. And I had a letter from the FBI, ongoing investigation, national security involved. Well, of course, if they told all this about mind control being used to whack people off, and you can program armies, etc., why? And then the kidnapping of me and taking down of my father and all that entailed, that brought in the Illuminati, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, the global government, sitting in New York City where Rockefeller headquarters is. Hey, Hillary, you think she and her husband aren't high up in the Illuminati? And so is she. She's illegal. Her father was illegal. I'm the real monarch, Victoria II. There were legal papers signed. My father made sure when they took him out with lies and married a woman, he's married to my mom. I was born in 39, and Jeff K. helped kidnap me. And I know this is being redundant, but President Roosevelt had made Joe Kennedy ambassador to the Embassy of England. Now then, a book was handed to me by a church here. I was living on the Appalachian Trail. Things were so bad. I was just blocked and framed, too, just like my dad. Implantable biochips came out with Tex Mars. And here he's talking about the global government and biochips that I'd been telling about, well, before I started writing about it. He even tells here about Timothy McVeigh, Oklahoma City bombing the Murray building, saying that he had a chip put in him in his buttocks by the U.S. Army. And he was put to death, and that's where Scott Peterson is about, and his is mind control. He didn't do it. Anyway, Project Lucid is what he put up, Tex Mars. This is just a page out of the book. A friend of mine said, why didn't you keep the whole book? But I have so much I can't carry things, and anyway, I was talking about the end times, and I had no idea that this had anything when I started doing the book. Now, then of course, I found out after I was out at Mr. Flint's in 83 in a campaign to replace one of the doctors I'd written about, and Congressman Dr. Larry McDonald. Wow. Supposed to have gone down in the KAL. Anyway, my point this morning is, and I don't have good lighting, and I thought I was going to make a better picture of this, but I've gotten it up there before. Trying to see what that was. Anyway, let me do the best I can here. I'm putting this up because I'm the legal monarch, and the day I was born. And it was all legal. I was christened, and even the portrait was brought with me. The two men brought it. When I was kidnapped, JFK helped kidnap me. I have to assume, I'm pretty sure I was flown in to Cortland Air Base near Moulton, which had just been built during the beginning of the war. If you look at the timeline of my dad being taken down in my kidnapping, you'll see where the Jews, we were invaded. So I'm going to leave it at that. People get mad at me for telling the truth. I've learned that. Some don't. But that's the reason that George Norrie, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Clyde Lewis, will not tell the truth. Clyde Lewis, I thought he was a decent person trying to tell the truth. When they get to the part about World War II and taking down my dad and the horrendous, lies that were told. He didn't marry Wallace Simpson. She was an American spy. Kidnapping me, and I'm sitting over here. If you call it sitting right now, I'm getting pretty bad. I'm older and been through hell. If you want me to put another word to it, I'd be lying. And my children. Well, that's enough. That's where the Illuminati came in and they took over the UK and came as our friends. And, and here you got George the illegal six taking down his own brother and helping kidnap me, his niece, the real monarch, and thus Elizabeth. Some say she's not his daughter, she's Winston Churchill's. I don't know. But you get the drift. She's always known. She was 15 years older than me, or 13 when I was born, and I'm quite sure my father moved back in because my birth gave him access to come back as my guardian and power of attorney. Well, it played, I could say some words here that are appropriate, but I won't. They had to co-live there, and I remember the thing about the cup that a lady in Australia remembered. I remember the fight about the cup, and it had Queen Victoria II on it, and it was sitting up on the mantle, and it must have been, I can't remember him, it had to have been George, the illegal brother, Elizabeth's father, that raised hell. And I don't know what happened. There was just awful going on there for a bit. Anyway, again today, let me remind you that this was not her job. She stole it. She actually works for the Illuminati and represents them, not Great Britain. Also, she's the global. What they have her on HBO the other night, the movie Queen of the World. So her father helped give away. He had the treaty signed that my father wouldn't sign, and therefore the Illuminati took him down. He wouldn't take orders from him. So it's quite the opposite from the way history is treating my father and me and my sons. Mark and Scott after me are in line for king, okay? Mark and then Scott. Now, I can't put all this up. This woman has always known. She's had time to tell it. And yes, she could tell it. Over the years, she didn't want to tell it. She's enjoyed being bowed down to knighting people. And, she's the biggest criminal. The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys. Can you imagine this Roosevelt? Then there's a long list, and she was just, I already knew this, and I put it up. She's way up in the Illuminati, of course. So when Meghan is biracial, and that was all planned. She married Harry. This works toward reuniting South Africa. Let me remind you, she's the one that sold out South Africa and the Brits. Now she's come back as their savior, I guess, which is a total lie. This woman is evil to the core. For God's sake, somebody take the hat off. They say that someone wears hats like she does. Has something to hide. Well, I've told it, but, now if I'm babbling, I want to say that I was married to my husband in Florida, Kissimmee, and I had on a learner dress, Lerners. It was blue and short sleeves, which I understand now that I had no way to learn the social graces because this woman took my place. She stole it. She's a war criminal. My God, she's pulled off the biggest heist in history and gotten away with it. So now then, that's it. I was married in my husband's brother and his wife's home in Kissimmee, and a dress that came from Lerner's, which is Walmart's, kind of. It's like the equivalent of Walmart's, only I'm not sure it's as good. Walmart's has been pretty good. Their clothes, I've had 4 outfits, if you call it outfits, that were bought there about 2 years ago, and I've worn them since. That's all I had till recently, and a couple of friends helped me, thank goodness. Thank you, friends. 2 friends there. Well, more than two, but they helped me with a few things there. And then I had a couple more that helped me. I don't want to forget them. I want to put this up. Sorry I don't have it up. This is Charles up there, and you get into the weddings, and all of these have benefited from the money and the fame and all that goes with it. They stole the monarchy. This is Snowden. Margaret married, he wasn't Lord Snowden, Anthony Armstrong Jones, and they gave him a title. And then I don't understand or remember, I think he married a woman that had a couple of children, or they did after Margaret. Okay, so you got Elizabeth's sister's named Margaret that married Snowden, and my name is Margaret Ann Windsor, Queen Victoria II. Okay, my father's Edward VIII, and this has been a total lie about a beautiful man. And this woman can stand up there and pretend. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm just going to go down the line here, and I know it doesn't have all of them. I could tell you the paper this was in. But you get down to all these who have benefited from this woman who's not working for the Brits, and she's not the Queen of England. This was paper, I got this out of, well, I don't see it. I guess it's on the other page, and I don't see that either. Anyway, well, I guess I'm making a mess of it. Anyway, now then, let me turn this over and see if I can do it a little bit better here. I want to say this. Princess Eugenia is Andrew, and, well, Princess, I don't know if you put her grandparents, they'd be her grandparents, in prison where they should be as war criminals. I don't know. Do you all think she deserves princess, and somebody comes in and starts taking up for these thieves? They've all known this. And it's okay to get away with all this, and what about the real one? I mean, it means nothing if you let this woman get away with it. Okay, let me back up if I can now. You've just seen this part of the lineage and their marriages, and they've married into wealth themselves, their husbands. If you go back and check it out, or wives. Okay, so other than them marrying all this brood, marrying into wealth in the UK, maybe outside, I'm not sure, but they have a lot of power and influence now. Besides the people that are my aunts and uncles and cousins of the Windsors, but I'm talking about the outreach in Germany and the Romanovs and other countries that are related to me, just like they are Elizabeth. Okay, she has been there all these years. It's stolen. She's a criminal. And I'm over here kidnapped. I didn't kidnap myself and swim across the pond and get tortured because I made a decision to. They've made a decision to cover it up. They just don't talk about me or my father other than to lie. And that's by omission. I'm going to bring God back into this because I didn't know when I started doing the book it had anything to do with revelations or anything like that. I